Part 1 of Shadows of Retribution. From the ashes of betrayal, she hunts in the shadows, and in her heart, she falls. Chapter 1. Kiera Pierce. The sweat clung to Kiera Pierce's skin like a second, stubborn layer. 6 hours of training behind her, another 6 waiting if she dared blink wrong. This life didn't allow softness, only repetition, grit, and the drumbeat of survival. Train. Sleep. Wake. Repeat. It was the gospel carved into her bones. She bent, fingers closing around the heavy combat pack. Her back groaned, knees threatening mutiny, but she pulled it up anyway, strapping it tight across her chest with a solid, familiar click. Then the sniper rifle, her true spine, slid into her grip. Its weight grounded her, reminded her why she'd chosen a path paved in shadows and silence. Kiera Pierce, 34. Black hair always tied back and hidden under a cap. Hazel eyes sharp enough to slice. A body built from war, lean, tall, roped with muscle where most people had excuses. She fished out her sunglasses and slid them on, shielding herself from the glare and from the world. The rumble of an approaching helicopter vibrated through the hangar walls, pulling her mind back into the frame of the mission. Orders had arrived before her morning coffee, a knock, an envelope, and a deployment time stamped 1800. A rescue operation. No briefing room. No hand-holding. Just coordinates and consequences. Her team fell in step beside her, one by one, ghosts she trusted more than her own heartbeat. Connie Mason, Communications. Small, quick, genius. Could force a radio connection out of a microwave, a battery, and a curse word. Skylar Butler, Weapons. A gun in her hands became a symphony and death danced to her tempo. Lauren Bates, Advanced Tactics. She made complicated missions look like children's puzzles. Autumn Rogers, Combat Medic. Could stitch you up, poison your enemy, and smile while doing both. And Kiera, Sniper, Intelligence, the woman governments pretended didn't exist. Over 150 covert missions, and not one she'd ever refused. The helicopter dipped low. Time to move. One after another, they climbed aboard. No goodbyes spoken, they never helped if you didn't come back. The doors slammed shut, rotors roared, and the ground fell away beneath them. Somewhere far ahead, a kidnapped politician waited. Somewhere closer, betrayal already breathed. Chapter 2. Deep Covert. They hit the ground 500 meters out from the compound. Boots kissed earth, and within seconds the forest swallowed them whole. For the next week, they weren't soldiers. They were phantoms. Kiera signaled the stop, dropping to a crouch at the tree lean where the militia camp sprawled like a wound across the earth. Their tents went up quickly, camouflage tech so advanced even the forest had trouble noticing the intrusion. No footprints. No echo. No trace. Kiera's orders were clipped but precise. Mason. Ears and eyes in the compound now. Connie nodded, already unpacking gear, fingers dancing with the ease of muscle memory. Bates. Blueprint and rescue plan by 0800. Lauren saluted, vanishing like smoke. Kiera, Skylar, and Autumn handled the rest, tents, weapons, medical kits, fallback points. Routine work. Familiar. Comforting in the way only danger can be. The mission was simple. Extract the kidnapped politician. Capture the militia leader. Get out breathing. Kiera could have done the rescue blindfolded, half asleep, hell, probably concussed. But this wasn't just her life on the line. She needed every moving part to align. Every heartbeat synced. By nightfall, the plan was etched out. An elegant, brutal thing. Then came the waiting. 3 days. 3 nights. The forest's quiet breath pressing against their tents while they watched the compound pulse with movement. Intel confirmed the leader returned on day 3. So, in the dead of night, wrapped in darkness thick enough to choke on, Kiera raised her hand. The team moved. Silent. Precise. Walking toward a trap disguised as a rescue. A betrayal already blooming in the dark. And none of them knew. Chapter 3. Into the Jaws. The forest held its breath as Kiera's team slipped through it, a silent procession of ghosts dressed in matte black death. No twigs snapped under their boots. No branches trembled. Even the wind bent around them, as if afraid to expose their presence. From a distance, the compound looked half asleep, scattered lantern light, 2 patrols walking lazy arcs, shadows slumping against the walls. A perfect entry point. Too perfect. But missions were built on windows, and sometimes windows were bait dressed as opportunity. Kiera lifted 2 fingers. Hold. The team froze, scanning. Nothing moved. Nothing shifted. Nothing breathed wrong. Clear, Skylar whispered, voice barely a vibration carried through their comms. Move, Kiera answered. They slipped through a blind spot between 2 guard towers, hugging the walls until they reached the inner perimeter. Connie tapped into the security feed, her small hands working with the confidence of someone who believed technology bowed to her. Cameras looping, she murmured. We're ghosts on their screens. Wouldn't have it any other way, Kiera whispered back. Lauren crouched beside her, sliding a knife from her boot. Politicians being held in the south wing. 2 guards. Easy takedown. Kiera nodded, but something gnawed at her ribs. A prickling. A warning. An instinct older than her first kill. The air felt wrong. Like the compound had exhaled hours ago and hadn't inhaled since. Still, she pressed forward. Orders were orders. And her team trusted her to lead. They reached the south wing seamlessly. No alarms, no guards doubling back, no change in routine. Too easy, Kiera thought again. Autumn approached first, her medic bag slung across her back. Skylar and Lauren positioned themselves on each side of the door. Kiera raised 3 fingers. 3, 2, 1. Skylar kicked the door open. Lauren swept left, Skylar right. Kiera entered centerline, rifle raised in fluid precision. 2 guards sat slumped in chairs, unconscious or dead. Kiera couldn't tell from the doorway. Autumn knelt to check pulses. Alive, she whispered. Drugged. Connie moved to the terminal in the corner, pulling up schematics, enemy comms, any trace of the politician's location. Her breath hitched. Kiera. Her voice trembled, the kind Connie only ever used during earthquakes and system failures. Talk to me. There's no one here, Connie said. No politician. No leader. No hostages. The whole building is empty. She swallowed. We're the only ones inside. The silence that followed was thick. Heavy. Wrong. Lauren moved to another console, typing, eyes narrowing. This isn't a militia camp. What do you mean? Kiera asked. Lauren turned the screen toward her. And Kiera's stomach dropped. On the display were images, grainy, zoomed-in photos of her team. All of them. Training. Eating. Sleeping. Moving through their base. They had been watched for months. And the timestamp on the last feed? 49 minutes ago. Skylar's voice cracked through the comms. Kiera, this was never a rescue mission. No, Kiera said, her chest tightening. This is a goddamn execution ground. A sudden click echoed through the room. Connie's eyes widened. Did someone just... The lights went out. Then the steel doors slammed shut behind them. Autumn cursed. We're trapped. Kiera pivoted toward the door, rifle raised, fury igniting in her veins. Mason, Kiera growled, get us power. Now. Trying. Connie hissed, scrambling over wires. Skylar pressed her ear to the wall. Footsteps. A lot of them. Lauren unsheathed her knife. How many? Skylar exhaled sharply. All of them. A loudspeaker crackled to life. A slow, venomous voice filled the room. Smooth. Smug. Knowing. Kiera Pierce, it drawled. I've been waiting for you. Kiera felt her blood freeze. Who the hell are you? She spat. The voice chuckled, low and satisfied. The man you were sent to rescue never existed. But you know that now. The team exchanged horrified looks. This mission was crafted for you, he continued. A trap designed from the bones of your habits. Your strategies. Your weaknesses. Kiera's grip tightened. Her heartbeat thudded in her throat. And you walked right into it. The sound of metal locking into place vibrated through the walls. Your traitor sends their regards. Autumn whispered, voice shaking for the first time ever. Kiera, someone in our unit sold us out. The enemy leader's voice sharpened into something lethal. I'll enjoy killing your team one by one. Kiera stepped forward, fire licking up her spine. Try me. He chuckled again. Oh, Kiera. It's already begun. A muffled explosion rocked the far wing of the compound, the shockwave hitting the room like a punch. The ground shuddered. Dust rained from the ceiling. And all 5 women knew. They were already too late. Chapter 4: The Fall. The explosion ripped through the compound like the world itself split open. Concrete dust billowed through the hallways. Flame crawled up the walls like it had been waiting for its cue. Kiera staggered, then steadied, eyes narrowed, jaw clenched. Status, she barked. West Wing's gone, Skylar coughed, covering her nose. That blast wasn't random. Someone detonated it from the inside. Lauren wiped blood from her eyebrow. They're sealing us in. Hurting us. Classic entrapment pattern. Connie's hands trembled as she yanked out a portable jammer. Comms are being blocked, I can get us a window, but I need 30 seconds. You've got 10, Kiera said. Autumn snapped open her medic bag, gave Kiera a quick once-over. You good? Good enough to kill, Kiera answered. Another explosion thundered outside, closer this time, and the metal shutters over the windows began to descend. Boom. 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 Locking them into a cage. Skylar snarled. They want us blind and boxed. And then the lights flashed back on. But not normal, steady lights. Red. Emergency red. Flooding the hall. Painting every face like they were already soaked in blood. A door on the far side screeched open. Kiera pivoted instantly, rifle raised. But what stepped out wasn't a soldier. It was a drone. Black. Silent. Armed. Autumn's eyes widened. Move. The drone fired, a burst of metal slugs shredding through the wall behind them, missing them by inches. Kiera Dove rolled, fired. One shot, dead center. The drone sparked, convulsed, then crashed to the floor. Lauren stared. Kiera, that's military tech. Our tech. How the hell did they? Because whoever sold us out, Kiera growled, gave them everything. Blueprints. Training habits. Weapon access. Their lives neatly packaged and sold like meat. Connie cursed under her breath. I've got a signal. The earpieces crackled. A scream tore through the comms. Raw. Wet. Utterly human. Skylar whispered, that's Bates. The scream cut off. Kiera's heart went cold. Lauren, she said into the mic, respond. Nothing. Another scream, muffled. Deeper in the compound. Then gunshots. Then silence. Autumn swallowed. Kiera, she's gone. Kiera shut her eyes for half a second, just enough to cage the grief before it swallowed her whole. Connie, she said, voice like steel dragged across bone, ping Bates' location. Connie tapped rapidly. 2 levels down. Sub-basement. Skylar frowned. There's no sub-basement on the blueprint. Because, Connie said quietly, they didn't want us to know it existed. Kiera stepped toward the hallway, rifle steady, rage sharpening every motion. Move out, she ordered. The hallway of shadows. The corridor leading downward was narrow and carved into concrete, like the spine of the compound itself. No lights. Just darkness thick enough to swallow breath. Skylar went first. Kiera right behind her. Autumn covering the rear. Connie sandwiched between them, her hands shaking but steady on her gear. Halfway down, the floor changed. From concrete to metal to grating. Skylar paused. This feels. A click echoed beneath her boot. Trap. Kiera shouted. But the floor didn't explode. It opened. Skylar dropped so fast Kiera barely caught her hand. But even Kiera's strength wasn't enough against the mechanism dragging Skylar down like a beast pulling prey into its throat. Kiera. Kiera. Skylar screamed. Kiera braced her feet, muscles straining, teeth gritted so hard pain shot up her jaw. Autumn, grab her. Autumn lunged, but the steel jaws slammed shut. Skylar's scream snapped off. Blood splattered up through the grating. Then nothing. Connie collapsed to her knees, choking on a sob. Autumn pressed a hand to her mouth, tears shining in her eyes. Kiera stood there, chest heaving, hand trembling, still red with Skylar's blood. And for a moment, the world quieted. Dead quiet. Like even the forest outside bowed its head. Get up, Kiera said softly. Connie lifted her tear-streaked face. Kiera. I can't. Get up. Her voice cracked, not with anger, with devastation wrapped in command. Connie rose, shaky but determined. Autumn wiped her eyes. 2 down. 2 left. Kiera turned toward the darkness ahead. No, she said. 2 down. 3 left. Autumn frowned. 3. Kiera's voice dropped into a deadly whisper. Whoever betrayed us. I'm counting them too. The hallway stretched on like an open grave. And Kiera stepped into it. Chapter 5, Whispers in Blood. The sub-basement door wasn't locked. That was the first bad sign. The second was the smell. Copper and rot and scorched cloth. Like the room was exhaling the dead. Kiera signaled with 2 fingers. Autumn covered the rear. Connie held the scanner in trembling hands. Kiera pushed the door. It groaned open. Inside, a series of metal cages lined the walls. Not big enough for a person to stand. Just big enough to break them. Lauren Bates hung in one. Arms limp. Head down. Her tactical vest torn open, like someone wanted to peel the truth out of her skin. Autumn rushed forward, but Kiera grabbed her arm. Wait. Lauren lifted her head. Barely. Her lips were split. Her left eye swollen shut. But she smiled. Not relief. Not fear. Something else. Kiera. Her voice was shredded. You shouldn't have come. Kiera stepped closer, rifle raised. What happened? Who did this? Lauren coughed a laugh, blood threading down her chin. Oh, you already know. Kiera froze. Connie whispered, Lauren, we don't know anything yet. Tell us. Lauren turned her head, eyes locking on Connie. Pity flickered there. Oh, Mason. Sweet Mason. The betrayal was never outside. Her gaze slid back to Kiera. It walked in with us. Autumn's breath hitched. Lauren, that's not possible. Lauren began laughing. A wild, broken sound that echoed around the room like a demon finding a joke in a wound. You still don't get it, do you? She croaked. They knew everything. Everything. Our entry points, our fallback routes. Skylar's blind spot, your codes. Her eyes sharpened on Kiera, dripping with meaning. Your nightmares. Kiera stepped in close enough that the bars cast shadows across her face. What did you do, Lauren? Lauren blinked. And, for a second, she looked almost fragile. Like the girl Kiera once trusted with her life. Then the fragility snapped. I survived, Lauren hissed. Just not the way you wanted me to. Connie lifted the scanner with shaking hands. Kiera, she has a transmitter implanted. Broadcasting. She's still sending intel. Lauren smiled wide, teeth streaked red. Too late. Kiera's heart went ice cold. She raised her rifle. Autumn grabbed her shoulder. Kiera, don't. Lauren whispered, they're already in position. The light shut off. Pitch black. Then, bang. A shot blasted through the room. Lauren's body jerked. Slumped. Blood dripping between the bars like a slow, thick rain. Connie screamed. Autumn pulled her down behind a crate. Kiera didn't flinch. Someone else fired that shot. Someone suppressing them. Hurting them. And Lauren. Lauren was the bait. A soft voice echoed through the darkness. Female. Calm. Cold. Kiera Pierce, it said. You always were the hardest one to kill. Connie gasped. That's? Autumn cursed. No, no way. Kiera didn't breathe. She knew that voice. God help her, she knew every cadence. Every edge. It was the person who trained her. The person she once trusted more than blood. The person who disappeared a year ago without warning. Commander Alara Vaughn. Alara's voice slithered through the dark. You should have died with your team. But you never follow orders, do you? Kiera whispered, Alara. Why? A laugh drifted out low, razor sharp. You'll understand soon. Kiera's pulse hammered. Her vision narrowed. Alara. A laser sight flicked across Kiera's cheek. But before the shot fired, Alara said softly, Run. Then the entire room ignited in gunfire. Chapter 6, Beneath the Ashes. Gunfire erupted like a storm with teeth. Kiera shoved Connie behind a steel locker as bullets carved the air, sparks spitting off metal. Autumn tackled them both, dragging them low as concrete shattered overhead. "Move," Autumn shouted, voice swallowed by the thunder. Connie's hands flew over her gear, panicked and clumsy. I can't see the shooter." Kiera could. Not clearly, just the silhouette, tall, calm, gliding through the smoke like shadow incarnate. Alara Vaughn. The mentor who once corrected Kiera's aim with a gentle touch, now hunting her with surgical precision. Kiera's jaw clenched. She fired once, 2 rounds, forcing Alara behind a pillar. Autumn whispered hoarsely, "She's trying to box us in." Again. Connie whimpered. "She'll kill us." "No," Kiera said, voice low, lethal. "She wants to break us first." A grenade clattered across the floor. Kiera didn't think. She grabbed Connie and threw her behind a crate as, boom, heat punched through the room. Shrapnel shrieked past Kiera's ribs. Autumn was blasted off her feet, slamming into a wall. She didn't get back up. "Autumn!" Connie cried, crawling toward her. Kiera grabbed her wrist, yanking her back. Her voice cut like a whip. "Stay behind me." Autumn groaned, blood trickling down her hairline. But her eyes locked onto Kiera's. "Don't. Let me slow you down." "You're not," Kiera said quietly. But they both knew it was a lie. Another bullet zipped past Connie, grazing her arm. She shrieked. Kiera spun and fired blind, forcing Alara deeper into the smoke. Alara's voice floated out, amused, almost tender. "You're still protecting them. Even now." A pause. So predictable, Kiera. Kiera felt something animal rise in her chest. A low, simmering snarl. "You trained me to be predictable," she barked back. "Big fucking mistake." Alara laughed, a soft, intimate sound that made Kiera's stomach twist in recognition and hatred. "You think I didn't account for that?" The lights flickered, then went white-hot bright. Connie screamed, covering her eyes. Autumn's body curled in pain. Kiera squinted, teeth grit, vision burning. Footsteps. Graceful. Measured. Alara emerged from the light. Combat blacks. Hair braided tight. Eyes sharp enough to peel a soul open. She didn't raise her gun. She didn't need to. "Hello, Kiera." Connie sucked in a breath. She's right there." Autumn reached weakly for her weapon. Kiera shook her head. This wasn't a firefight. This was a reckoning. Kiera lowered her rifle. Just slightly. "Alara," she said. "Why betray us?" "Why no?" Alara tilted her head, as if the question bored her. "Betray you." A soft chuckle. "No, Kiera. I liberated you." Kiera's hands tightened into fists. "You slaughtered my team." "I culled weaknesses," Alara corrected gently. "They were loyal to the wrong cause. You're different." Alara stepped closer. Kiera's muscles screamed to fire, but something in Alara's gaze pinned her. "You were always the one worth saving." Connie shook her head in disbelief. "Saving? You're a monster." Alara didn't even look at her. She looked only at Kiera. "You're angry now," she murmured. "But eventually, you'll understand why I chose you." Kiera spit on the floor between them. "Understand this, when my team is dead, you're fucking dead too." Alara smiled. A small, heartbreakingly familiar smile. I expected nothing less. Then she tapped her wrist controller. The floor beneath Connie dropped. "Kiera." Connie screamed as she plummeted. Kiera dove, hands stretching. Fingertips brushing Connie's. But she missed. The metal slammed shut. Her scream cut off. Autumn sobbed, choking on dust and pain. Kiera froze. Completely. Utterly. Every nerve in her body crystallized into a single truth. Alara didn't come to kill her. Alara came to shatter her. Alara whispered. "Now you're ready." Kiera lifted her head, and the look in her eyes could burn the sun to bone. "Run," she told Alara. "Because when I crawl out of this pit, I'm coming for you." Alara's smile widened. "I'm counting on it." Smoke swallowed her whole. And Kiera finally broke. Chapter 7: The Price of Survival. The world had gone quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but that sick, hollow silence that follows massacre. Kiera lay half-buried in moss and soot, her blood seeping into the earth in slow, stubborn pulses. Flies hummed around her torn gear. Smoke drifted past her face like a lazy ghost. Every breath stabbed her ribs. Every blink burned. But she was alive. Why? That question, it gnawed. Survival rarely came with mercy. Someone wanted her to suffer long enough to understand something. She spat blood, rolled onto her back. The canopy spun above her, dizzy and indifferent. Her ears still rang with the screams of her team. Connie's short, cut-off gasp. Skylar choking on blood. Autumn's final, guttural growl. Bates, God, Bates, her spine snapping like a green stick between two massive hands. Kiera pressed her palms to her eyes until her vision sparked white. You don't get to break. Not here. Not now. A branch cracked. Her hand shot to her knife, too slow. A shadow crouched beside her, warm hands pinning her shoulders with surprising gentleness. Kiera hissed, teeth bared, ready to die with her throat open. But the figure shook their head. A young man, native, lean and sun-bronzed, eyes sharp as obsidian and twice as cold. He examined her wounds with the resignation of someone who has tended too many dying strangers. You stay quiet, he murmured in accented English. If militia hear you breathe, they finish what they start. She grabbed his wrist with what strength she had left. What, militia? His jaw tightened. The ones who drag your friends back toward mountain posts. They clean up. Burn bodies. Leave no trace. Kiera's pulse spiked so hard she tasted iron. They're alive. Her voice cracked on the last syllable. He shook his head. Slowly. No. They only take bodies. Not living. Not today. Something inside Kiera tore, something she didn't have time to grieve. Her fingers dug into the dirt, fury burning hotter than the pain. Help me up. You cannot walk. I don't need to walk, she growled. I need a weapon. The young man stared at her like she was madness incarnate, but there was respect in it too. I carry you, he decided. Then I stitch you. Feed you. If you live, you crawl where you want after. Her vision blurred as he lifted her, agony blazing through her torso, but she refused to whimper. She pressed her forehead against his shoulder and whispered to the sinking forest. I will kill every single one of you. Every single one. The leaves answered only with wind. As he carried her deeper into the forest, she heard something faint but unmistakable, drifting from the direction of the compound. Laughter. Male. Cold. Familiar. Her stomach dropped. She knew that voice. She had trusted that voice. And now she understood the truth. The betrayal wasn't random. It wasn't opportunistic. It wasn't accidental. It was orchestrated by someone who had touched her shoulder, shared her fire, eaten from the same tin. Someone who knew exactly how to kill her team. Kiera forced her eyes to stay open as the trees swallowed them whole. The hunt had already begun. She just needed to survive long enough to start it. Chapter 8: Resurrection in the Shadows. The forest smelled of damp earth and ash. Kiera blinked against the filtered sunlight that leaked through woven leaves, her body heavy and humming with pain. Every muscle screamed in protest, every scar throbbed like a drum announcing her survival. Her eyes adjusted. She was lying on a crude cot of branches and animal skins. The native crouched nearby, sewing a deep gash along her ribs with hands steady and precise. Pain, he asked, not looking up. Just everything, she rasped, voice raw. He chuckled softly low, not unkind, but carrying the weight of someone who'd seen death too often. You are lucky. Many die where you lie. Kiera pushed herself up slightly. The effort sent a hot wave of nausea through her. But she ignored it. She needed focus, clarity. Where is everyone? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The man's face darkened. Dead. Taken. Buried. Militia does not leave witnesses. Only one survived, you. Her jaw clenched, fingers curling into fists. Rage and grief mingled like poison in her veins. Good, she said quietly. Because I'll make them pay. He paused, looking at her with sharp, piercing eyes. You cannot go now. You will die if you leave the forest before you heal. Strength must be cultivated. Kiera laughed, a short, bitter sound that felt hollow in her chest. Healing is for people who survive. I didn't. He shook his head. Healing is for people who survive to fight. You're not ready. Her hazel eyes narrowed, and for the first time, the fire of her military precision began to reawaken. Then teach me, she demanded. Every skill, every weakness, every secret they think I don't know, teach me. I will become the storm they never saw coming. He considered her for a long moment, then nodded. Then you must endure. The forest will teach you patience. The pain will teach you focus. And the fire in your heart, he leaned closer, voice almost a whisper. It will teach you revenge. Over the next days, she trained in silence. Crawling through mud, swinging through trees, testing her endurance, sharpening senses dulled by pain and loss. Every movement honed her body into a weapon once more. Every thought focused on the people who had destroyed her unit. At night, she laid under the stars and allowed herself a brief, terrible memory. Skylar's scream, Bates' broken body, Autumn's last look of determination. Each flash of agony fanned the fire of vengeance until it burned too bright to ignore. And then came the message that would ignite the hunt. A courier, moving like a shadow through the forest, carrying a single sealed envelope addressed in bold, precise handwriting. Kiera tore it open. Inside, a photo and one line. Zara Sevahir, daughter of militia leader. Alone. Unaware. Smiling behind a coffee counter in a sunlit small town. Her lips curved slightly. Her posture easy. Her world entirely unprepared for the storm that was coming. Kiera's eyes went cold. The hunt was no longer abstract. It was personal. She whispered into the leaves, letting her rage seep into the soil. I will find you, Zara. And when I do, nothing you love, nothing you hide behind, will survive. Chapter 9. Revenge begins with a whisper. Night draped itself over the mountains like a funeral shroud. Kiera moved through it as if she'd been born from its darkest corner, silent, patient, stripped of mercy. Her wounds had sealed. Her strength had returned. Her purpose, sharpened to a lethal edge. The native's parting words echoed in her mind. Cut the branches before you strike at the trunk. And she did. One by one. Jared Kane, the first cut. Logistics officer. Smiling liar. Sold her unit's movements for a pocket of blood money. Tonight, he becomes Kiera's message. The forest around Jared's cabin was quiet enough to hear regrets breathe. Kiera lay belly down on a ridge 30 meters above his home, wrapped in camouflage mesh that blended her into stone and shadow. 7 days. No fire. No movement. Barely any blinking. Her sniper scope lived against her eye, watching every trivial detail of Jared Kane's life. He liked cold beer but warmed it in his hands before he drank. He let the dog bark at nothing for minutes before snapping. He cheated on his girlfriend with the same woman every Tuesday and Friday. He made late-night phone calls, quiet, coded, always ending with, "No, she's dead." He had been so sure. Too sure. Kiera marked every movement on a mental map. Entry points. Blind corners. Timing between his steps. The creak at the third plank on his porch. The exact second the outside light flickered. Covert is not speed. It is patience sharpened into a blade. By day 7, she knew Jared's life better than he did. Night fell like ink spilled across the treetops. Kiera assembled her rifle with the reverence of an executioner preparing a final prayer. She did not rush. Every piece clicked together with a soft, deliberate whisper. Bolt in. Suppressor on. Scope calibrated. Safety off. She slid a photo of her team into her pocket, Skylar laughing, Bates mid-eye roll, Autumn flipping the camera off and Connie smiling. Just a brief look. Enough to steady her breath. Then she took position on the ridge again. She waited for the moment she knew by heart. 11:03 p.m. The door opened. Jared stepped out, shirtless, yawning, scratching his rib like he always did. She inhaled. Held. Exhaled. Her fingers squeezed. Crack. The sound was soft, a polite death knell. Jared staggered, eyes wide, looking down at the crimson blooming over his chest like a sick flower. He collapsed onto the steps, limbs useless, shock pouring through him. Before he could even choke out a cry, Kiera was already descending. She moved like a ghost given knives. Silent. Swift. Certain. Jared lay gasping, trying to push himself away with bloody palms. Kiera, please. She crouched beside him, knife pressed lightly to his skin, not cutting yet, just reminding him what sharp felt like. Don't lie, she whispered. His eyes filled with tears as the truth cracked him open. Harper. Santos. Vance. Cade. They all knew. They planned it. I just passed the intel. I swear. Her jaw tightened. And the ambush? The captain knew the exact entry point. He changed the route map. Please, Kiera, She silenced him with a swift, clean stroke across the throat. No ceremony. Just justice. She stood, cleaning her blade on his pants as the winter air turned his blood to rust. Then she walked to the clearing, lifted her radio, a ghost frequency Connie taught her, and spoke 3 words into the night. 1 branch cut. No reply. Just static. Good. Let fear spread on its own. Kiera vanished into the trees, the moonlight catching the hard line of her jaw. She wasn't done. Jared was simply the beginning. Chapter 10. Harper, the weak link. Surveillance specialist. Nervous talker. Thought he could hide behind cameras and locked doors. Tonight, Kiera shows him what real eyes in the dark look like. Harper lived in a security compound so over-monitored it practically hummed with paranoia. For perimeter cameras. 2 drones on automatic patrol. Infrared spotlights sweeping the yard. And an electric fence that could fry a damn elephant. Cute. Really cute. Kiera watched him from the tree lean, a kilometer out, her breath steady, her pulse a quiet drum under her skin. Harper's routine was pathetic in its predictability. Tea every hour. Double-checking his locks like a man expecting ghosts. Watching old surveillance footage of her unit's last mission, rewinding the moment they were ambushed. Laughing. Smirking. He kept that footage. He watched her team die like it was a rerun of a show he enjoyed. Kiera's jaw flexed. She didn't blink for a full minute. She memorized every flicker of light, every camera angle, every blind spot that Harper thought he'd eliminated. That's the thing about men like him. They think technology replaces instinct. But instinct is the one thing Kiera has in lethal abundance. She moved at 2:14. Not because it was darkest, but because Harper always took a sedative at 2 o'clock. The fool trusted pharmacy labels. Kiera cut the fence with an insulated blade. No sparks. No alarms. Just a whisper of metal dying. She slid beneath the sweep of the infrared lights, with acrobat precision, her body folding where shadows welcomed her. The drones buzzed above like confused insects. Her cloak of thermal dampening mesh made her vanish in their digital eyes. She reached the back door, triple-locked, reinforced. She pulled out a device Connie once built her from scrap radio parts. Kiera whispered, "Thanks, Mason," and pressed it to the panel. The lock melted like butter in a furnace. Inside smelled like fear. Sweaty, stale fear. Harper sat at his desk, earbuds in, watching her team's last transmission on repeat. Laughing softly at Skylar's scream. Kiera appeared behind him like a nightmare that learned to walk. She didn't say a word. She just placed her silenced pistol on the desk beside him. He froze. She watched the realization creep through him like poison. "'Kay, Kiara. I thought you were dead?" she asked, voice low, calm, dangerous. "You should have checked twice." He raised his hands slowly, trembling so hard the chair shook. "I didn't pull the trigger," he whispered, shaking. "I just monitored the feeds. That's all. I swear." Santos planned the angles. Vance supplied the. Kiera stepped closer. He shrank back like a roach from a boot. "You watched," she said, leaning down, her lips near his ear. "You enjoyed it. That makes you worse." No, please." She slammed his face into the desk. Bone cracked, satisfying, sharp. Blood splashed the monitor. She grabbed him by the hair and dragged him backward, forcing him to stare at the screen replaying the ambush. "Watch," she said coldly. "Watch what you laughed at." He sobbed, choking on blood. Her knife slid under his ribs, angled upward. A soft, wet sound, the sigh of a lung collapsing. His body twitched, twisted, went still. Kiera let him drop. Then she wiped her blade on his shirt and shut off the monitor. She erased the footage from his system, wiped the logs, disabled every camera in a 30-meter radius. By sunrise, Harper C. Nolan no longer existed. She vanished into the forest, her boots whispering against dead leaves. 2 branches cut, she breathed. The night answered with silence, the perfect confirmation. Chapter 11. Santos, the shadow who thought he could outrun death. Night wraps itself around her shoulders like a lover she no longer trusts. Rain needles down in thin, cold lines. And Kiera moves not as a woman, not as a ghost, but as vengeance with a pulse. Santos operates alone tonight. He always did. The man fancied himself a strategist, but really, he was just a butcher with good lighting. His safe house sits at the edge of an abandoned textile district. For stories of rotting brick, busted security lights, and a generator humming like a dying animal. She watches it from the alley, hood low, breath steady. Her gloves whisper as she adjusts the grip of her blade. The plan is simple. Draw him out, isolate him. Make sure he knows she is the reason his lungs turned to ash. Because Santos wasn't like the others. He wasn't merely complicit. He enjoyed what they did to her sister. And that kind of sin earns a personal sermon. She cuts the building's power with a flick of a switchbox blade. Sparks spit, darkness blooms. Inside, she hears the generator choke. A moment later, a curse, a clang, a heavy footstep. Santos emerges onto the top-floor balcony, flashlight swinging wildly. He leans over the rail, looking for the fault. Kiera lifts the rifle from her back. Not to kill him. No, that part must be close, intimate. But to give him a little motivation. Crack. The bullet takes the flashlight right out of his hand. It explodes in shards of white. Santos jerks back. Who's there? She doesn't answer. Silence is a better blade. He panics exactly as she predicted. Down the staircase he charges. Gun drawn, breath ragged. The predator suddenly remembering. He too can bleed. She slips inside through the service door. Steps echoing soft against the concrete. She wants him to hear her. She wants him to feel the hunt reversing. He turns a corner too fast, nearly slamming into her. For a heartbeat, they just stare. Him in disbelief. Her in something far colder. Kiera? No. No, you're dead. You're dead. She tilts her head. Then hell must be full, Santos. He fires. She's already moved. The bullet bites wall instead of bone. She grabs his wrist, twists. The gun clatters away. Her elbow snaps into his throat. A wet choke bursting out of him. He stumbles, clawing for balance. She lets him find it. She wants him standing for this. You should have burned with the others, he rasps. She steps closer, blade glinting like moonlight sharpened. No, Corrido. I live so you wouldn't. He charges her. Desperate. Clumsy. Stupid. She sidesteps, hooks his ankle. Drives her knee into his spine. And he collapses to concrete with a grunt. Her voice drips calm poison. This is for them. The blade slides across his back. Not lethal yet. Just deep enough to make him remember. He screams, the sound bouncing off rusted beams. And this, she whispers against his ear, is for every breath you stole from the innocent. She flips him. One clean strike. Straight through the heart. A quiet kill. A necessary one. Santos blinks at the ceiling. Eyes dimming like dying embers. You won't make it out alive. She wipes the blade on his shirt, rises, and offers him the last truth he'll ever hear. I already died once. Chapter 12. Revenge begins with a whisper. Night draped itself over the mountains like a funeral shroud. Kiera moved through it as if she'd been born from its darkest corner, silent, patient, stripped of mercy. Her wounds had sealed. Her strength had returned. Her purpose, sharpened to a lethal edge. One name burned louder than all the others. Captain Elias Cade. The man who had trained her. Praised her. Let her. Sold her unit like cattle. Her fury pulsed under her skin. She moved faster after that. But first, Vance begged until Kiera's bullet silenced him. Marlowe tried to run. She shot him through the knee first, just to watch the fear bloom. She took her time with each one. Not sadism, precision. Each kill was a message sent through the underground. Kiera Pierce is alive. And she's coming. And finally, Captain Cade. She found him in a fortified safe house disguised as a fishing lodge. His guards were sloppy. His systems predictable. He still believed he was untouchable. Kiera slipped through vents and shadows until she was behind him. He didn't even sense her until her blade kissed his spine. "K. Kiera," he whispered, voice trembling. "I can expla." "No," she said quietly. "You can die." The scream he let out echoed through the cold wooden halls long after his heartbeat stopped. When the final body fell, Kiera stepped outside into the snow. Her breath steamed in the cold night. Her hands were steady. Her heartbeat calm. The branches were cut. Only the root remained. The militia leader. And the last person connected to him, the daughter. Zara Sevahir. Kiera wiped blood from her blade and whispered, "I'm coming for you." Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and like this video and follow me for more stories. You are always welcome here, and leave me a comment or a thumbs up, just letting me know if you like the story and would like more, or is there perhaps an idea that you would like to share or let me write for you.